Okay. We ready?
Hello, welcome to the Reloading Podcast here on the Firearms Radio Network, presented by Primary Arms. Just a note to all of you out there in podcasting land, if you're going to do your intro, you need to remember to unmute yourself so that everybody can hear you. Ooh, a 67 Rebel SST AM. Oh, that'd be a fun car to drive.
Oh, yes.
I remember them.
Uh-huh. I still want an AMX.
That was better than the AMC, the SST.
That's
Anyway,
because they were built in Wisconsin. That's why I want them. So, anyway. So we have a guest with us tonight, so we're going to change up the format a little bit. We'll go into what we did in reloading and stuff and answer some questions later. Right now we've got Todd from EP Integrations, and we're going to talk to him about his brass annealer and his other fun projects. Milsurp Duo did a review of the EP 2.0 a couple weeks ago, and that's up on their YouTube page. And tonight I got to get the video posted to our YouTube page. It sends you to their YouTube page. But also we wanted to get Todd on and have him talk about the how it came about and the process that he's continued on, and then what else he's got going on.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate you having me on the live podcast here.
Absolutely. So, how did you get started making an annealer in the first place?
Some people might know this, some people might not, but I started a do-it-yourself annealer. I want to say, I actually got up on the screen here because I figured you'd probably ask me that question. Yeah, I don't know if I can do this or not, but if you can make that out. Can you make that out or not? So I did a do-it-yourself brass annealer detailed guide for 100. Matter of fact, it's still up on Elster's Rifles and Reloading. So, Scott Peterson and I, we run EP Integrations, which is right here. And, the EP, Alfers and Peterson, that's where the EP Integrations comes from. We started this about a year ago, last year, January. Elster's Rifles and Reloading, I've had that going for some time now. I want to say 2014 or whatnot, but you can see back on June 15th, 2016. Can you guys make that out or not?
Yep.
So it's got over 200,000 views. And man, in the description, I got a detailed list on there of how to make this torch head, case, power adapter, shaft adapter. These are my Amazon affiliate links, but man, I tell you, it really helps a lot of people in regards to making this super easy, along with obviously the video. It's about 14 minutes long, and it's definitely one of those videos that you can tell that's one of your first videos you ever made.
Yeah.
It's something that's not definitely as, well edited with DaVinci Resolve like my newer videos, but back then I wanted to get into annealing and just didn't want to buy anything. And back then there wasn't really much to choose from. Really back then you really had bench source, the grout, and what else was there? I think that was about it. That's about all I could think of. And of course they were hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And I'm like, why just not just make one, right? So at that time, it was really popular, with the whole drum system and a ramp and dropping brass into a drum, for do-it-yourselfers. And I kind of expanded on that. And, matter of fact, it's the exact same case as the EP 2.0 annealer. We just, expanded on that a little bit. And that worked great, $100 at that time. I think it's a little over $100 now. And, but it only worked on, anything from roughly 223 up to the 308 parent cartridges. Man, you started getting the 30-06, you're kind of pushing the realms of what the depth of that drum could really do. And, and I got lots of emails on that with what I call the EP 1.0 annealer. which is a do-it-yourselfer. And at that time, I was kicking around making this on the side, but I just full-time job and everything else, I just didn't really have the time. Fast forward to last year, January, probably a little bit before that, actually. I moved and moved in my next door neighbor, which happens to be my current business partner. And we ended up becoming good friends. It's one of those things where you're sitting out on a campfire and drinking a beer and, bullshitting. I had this, idea in my mind of doing something like this, but I wanted something adjustable. At that time, I did get a Annealer, and not knocking the Annealer. It's a great annealer, especially if you want something with a hopper. But I didn't really find myself using it that much, to be honest with you. Every time I was doing 223 or 308 parent cartridges, I was using my original 1.0 annealer that I made myself. The main reason was because I just got sick of swapping out wheels. That's really what it boils down to it. Like I said, not knocking on Annealers. I know Jeff Buck; he's an amazing guy. If you want someone with a hopper, I definitely take a look at the Annealers for sure. But I just, how everyone is, they got to have it their own way type thing. And I like the simplicity of the 1.0, the do-it-yourself annealer. But I wanted something adjustable. So, I had this thought in my mind for actually years in regards to having an adjustable shim plate, an adjustable fence, and an adjustable brass stopper. And I can kind of just quick show that here quick. Do this without flipping my camera around. I don't know if you can make this out or not, but let me get my screen up so I can see what you guys are seeing. But I actually still have the 1.0 annealer, and it's down in this. It's been sitting there for the longest time.
Yep.
And it still works as good as the day I made it. But like I said, it's very limited. And I wanted something that I could adjust, and so I came up with this idea in regards to the adjustable brass stopper. That's what we call this. This is called the brass stopper block. This is the brass stopper itself. I don't know if you guys make that out. Let me look at my screen to see what you guys are seeing. But this is the brass stopper block, the brass stopper. This is the drum. This is called the adjustable shim plate, and the adjustable fence with the adjustable fence block. And you can notice it's obviously really simple and very similar to the 1.0, and it's just completely adjustable. And what's nice about this, obviously, and I know some of you guys already know this, but some of you guys might not, is it's completely adjustable from the smallest casings. Something like, we say 300 blackout to 50 BMG, but in reality, it will go less than 300 blackout. It will easily do something like this. What is this? 38 special. It'll easily go down to that. And what's nice about that, it's a rim cartridge too. Obviously we do rim cartridges such as 30-30, anything with a rim, no problem. But it will go from the smallest of casings, 38 special, maybe even a little less. To be honest with you, I have played around with 17 HMR, and if you tweak this out just right, it will do it. But we don't like to say that. We would like to be more 100% and positive that's going to cycle 100%. So we'll say 300 blackout, but like I said, we'll go a little less than that, all the way up to 50 BMG. And what's nice about it, and for some of your viewers that haven't seen this before, is the fact that you don't have to add or remove any parts. There's no wheels to swap out. It literally adjusts in seconds. When I say seconds, I'm saying probably 20 seconds to go from cartridge to cartridge. And that's the simplicity of this unit, the fact that you don't have to add or remove any parts. And I was kicking around ideas in regards to adding a hopper, not adding a hopper, but as a precision reloader, usually I'm only reloading 50 to 100 pieces, maximum maybe 200. I'm not really a spray and pray kind of guy. I could really care less if it has a hopper. And I'm be honest with you, if you have to physically pick up the brass and orientate it in a certain direction and put it into a hopper or put it into a single feed fence, I could really care less if it has a hopper. 5-6 seconds in an anneal, roughly, give or take. I don't know what you're annealing. I could really care less if it has a hopper. And that's kind of where this came from. And Scott Peterson and I sitting around that campfire that one night. This is my idea, and we kind of melded our talents together in regards to, he's an engineer. Obviously, I'm a reloader and I'm an estimator too, but we kind of melded our talents together, and that's where EP integrations comes from, And we, sat down on paper and we came up with these ideas, and next thing you know, we got a patent pending on it. And it's really successful, man. We're pumping out these EP 2.0 annealers as fast as we can. It's quite amazing how many we're selling, actually, and it's been really welcome, especially in the precision world. Those guys that don't want to spend $1,500 for an amp annealer, and I'm not one to knock anyone's products. I mean, the amp annealer is an amazing product. I mean, if you probably want the best of the best, it's going to be the amp, but then again, it's $1,500 amazing. And then that's without the inserts. There's a lot of stuff you got to add to that, especially start kicking in an amp mate. You're going to be well north of $2,000. And but like I said, there's a lot of options out there, but where ours really, really shines, that it can anneal from 300 black out to 50 BMG without having to add or remove any parts, and literally adjust. And I'm not joking, probably 10, 15 seconds. Kind of a long-winded intro, but you can idea where it all came from. So, obviously that's where the EP 2.0 comes from, is the fact that we kind of considered the do-it-yourself annealer the 1.0 type thing. So.
Well, not changing the wheels is a big thing. I have a Gerard, and changing from 308 308 30-06 is the same pretty much, but then adjusting the torches and everything else gets to be a pain in the rear end.
Yeah, that's a reason why we didn't mount. Once again, not knocking on annealers, but I just got sick of screwing with the torch mounted, and I just kept it loose, and it ended up being faster. And matter of fact, the annealers, they just switched over from a mounted torch to a loose torch, and it's just really easy. I mean, it's just simple, stupid. You move it to where you want it and set it and forget it, and we just.
The only thing about a mounted torch is that you can use a 20-pound or 15-pound propane tank.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. And that is nice, especially the fact that you don't have to keep on refilling. But this, just for those that are not totally familiar, obviously we use the blue tanks here in regards to that. But with that being said, you can get these. That's a refill kit. You can get these off Amazon for $25 ship free, and you just literally fill this up once it's empty off a 20-pound tank. And it lasts forever with one of these kits, and it doesn't take up any room on your bench. You just take it, move it wherever you want. And for those that are using tank style flame-based annealers, I highly recommend getting one of these. And how it works is you literally put your tank into a freezer, damn near freeze this thing, get it super cold, and you hook this up to your propane 20-pound propane tank, hook it upside down, and you just fill this back up. And right now, I believe these are going for, I want to say $5. But you get a 20-pound tank for right down the road here for $19. You can fill up damn near 20 of these things, 20 plus. You're gonna be annealing forever with one of these, and it really doesn't take that long to fill it up. It's like one of those things, you just hook it up, walk away. A few hours later, it's filled up, and you're back to giving her hell. So.
Yeah, that tank filler is a nice thing. It also works great for, like, if you've got it refills the green tanks too.
Yes, anything like the camping style or the blue propane style.
So if you've got one of those portable heaters. It works great for that. So it's a multi-purpose.
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of the nice thing.
Yep.
Todd, that's something you could expand on, make you a block that you could use the remote hose that would go to an 18-pound tank that you could use with your Annealer.
Oh, trust me, we thought about it. Definitely thought about it. My only concern about something like that is, I say this, and we have instructions on this, that comes with every annealer to not walk away while you're annealing brass. You got an open flame, but damn well that guys do that.
Yeah.
And my concern is that thing getting dragged off.
Guilty.
Dragged off the freaking tabletop because it's attached to a hose, And this is nothing new. I'm not breaking any spectacular news here, but if I'm going to have a flame-based annealer, and I know a lot of people want it with a hopper, I personally don't want a hopper. I'd want a case feeder. And we're currently working with Eagle Eye. It's been a long time. We're trying to refine some prototypes here, getting this hooked up to a case feeder, where you can literally throw handfuls of brass into a case feeder, not like meticulously picking up brass and orientating it and putting it in a hopper, or meticulously picking up brass, orientating it and putting it on a single feed fence. In my opinion, I could care less, especially if you're only doing 50 to 100 pieces. I could see you on maybe a hopper if you start hitting over 200 pieces, but to be honest with you can't put 200 pieces in a hopper anyway. So, I personally would want something with a case feeder where I could literally throw handfuls of brass that orientates it for you, feeds it for you. But then again, if you think about it, you got to screw around with plates, screw around with jamming. You still got to watch the thing. It's not like you can just start a flame-based annealer and go mow the yard. And, you still have to watch the thing. So if you're going to sit there and watch the thing and you don't have any issues pulling a handle on a single stage press, I could really care less. Be honest with you, even if we got a case feeder, I probably wouldn't use it. I would get it because people want it, but I probably wouldn't even use it, to be honest with you. It is what it is. It's the KISS method. It's keep it simple, stupid type thing.
Yeah.
And that's why we kept it that way. And that's my opinion. That's obviously I might be a little biased here, but that's what makes it really shine, is the fact that it's just so simple to use. You just open the box, you're ready to rock and roll. There's no learning curve. You're not swapping out wheels. I know a lot of guys complain about melted wheels on the Annealers, and I personally, when I had Annealers, I never had that issue, but it's usually because guys aren't angling that torch just right. But I just got sick of swapping out those wheels. I just did, and I just ended up not even using it. And it's great if you want a hopper, but it's just, everyone's got a little method. Their madness is just not mine. So,
yeah. For years we used the drill and socket method. It would work, but we found out we couldn't get the consistency down. With this and the size batches we do, with the consistency is perfect.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And that's the thing is, a lot of these guys that use a drill and torch, and I'm not knocking them. If you're doing that, keep on giving her hell. This is just my opinion, and that's what reloading really is just full of opinions. And if you don't have a machine, in my opinion, to meticulously get that brass into the flame and meticulously get it out, and it literally only takes less than a half a second to get a not consistent anneal, a consistent or not consistent anneal. You really need a machine to do that. And I don't care what machine you're using, bench source, ours, Annealers, the ugly annealer, blah, 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 or even the amp annealer if you can afford something like an induction annealer. Especially for some of you viewers are not familiar with annealing at all. I would say the three main types of annealing are, the biggest one would be flame-based annealers, number one. That'd be like our EP 2.0 annealer, Annealers, bench source, blah, blah, blah. Or you have induction annealers, or a lot of guys will make their own out of an Annie induction annealer. There are a couple guys out there that are making commercial ready to sell induction annealers using an Annie type induction process, but obviously the big one that shines when it comes to induction annealing, where you're actually heating up the brass with electricity, is the amp annealer, or Annealing Made Perfect. Amazing. It's probably the best of the best annealer. If you got $1,500, it is an amazing annealer. But then again, like I said, it's $1,500 compared to ours. That's $268 shipped to the lower 48 states. And you can actually automate the amp annealer. They have the amp mate that you can, it will auto feed it for you. You know, if you want the cream of the crop, that is it. But you're going to be spending way north of $2,000 with all the accessories and all of that. And then there's salt bath annealing, where you're literally melting salt into a molten form. And in my opinion, I personally wouldn't even touch that. You're literally dealing with molten salt. It's extremely dangerous. You know, and it's hard to. It's like that's almost like using a drill and a torch type thing. How long do you keep it in and pull it out type thing? So, you know, obviously the big ones would be the flame-based annealers. And like I said, not knocking those guys that are using a drill and torch. You definitely can do it. And I've seen guys where they're using a timer of some sort. You know, it's really hard to get that. You know, I've always said you should get that flame coming out of your torch about 1.1 inch long, maybe a little over 1 inch long. Now, there's a reason why we sell our torch heads with our annealers, because we want to use a specific pencil tip torch head that comes with a very fine point. Some of these guys that are annealing, they're not using those. In my opinion, you shouldn't be using anything other than a pencil type blowtorch, where you can get it to a very fine point, and you want that very fine point damn near touching the brass, but not touching the brass. And you want that pointed exactly where the neck meets the shoulder. So if I was to get a piece of brass here and grab say like this straw represents the tip of the flame, you'd want that damn near touching, but not touching. If your flame is touching the brass, you can get what's called hot spots. You don't want it so far away. I mean, it will take forever to heat up that brass. So if you can get it so it's damn near touching the brass, but not touching maybe 1/16 of an inch, and you want it exactly where the neck meets the shoulder. That is the name of the game in regards to annealing with a flame-based annealer. And I don't care what flame-based annealer it is. My opinion, that's, of course, everyone's full of opinions, and their opinions are the right ones, but that's what I think you should be doing. And, you know, personally for me, I use what's called the glow method. I know some guys like Primal Rights, he calls it the changes a different color method. Pretty much the same thing. I usually will lower the lights in the reloading room, so it's not totally dark. You want to keep it safe, but I'll get the lights down to the point where, you know, I can see that brass glow. And the second that brass starts to glow, I get it out of the flame. And I will use test brass, and I keep test brass of everything. I just picked two. I got, this one's a 223. It's full of really crappy test brass. Gosh, this is confusing. It's a 223 test brass. This has been over annealed over and over. Some people's pieces have been way glowing hot. I'll continue to overuse them over and over and over. I don't care if they've been under annealed, way over annealed. Brass that I was about to throw away because it's been over fire. Before I throw it away, I'll keep it around for test brass. And I have videos that show you how to do this in regards to using test brass. And I'll use this test brass to set up my annealer in regards to the position of the flame. You know, the amount of heat coming out of the blowtorch. And then obviously setting the timer or the speed control. And, you know, if you're curious of how I anneal, you can check out EP Integrations. Matter of fact, we just uploaded a 5-part reloading series on there, and the second part is strictly on annealing using the EP20 annealer. It doesn't matter if it's the EP20 annealer or, you know, Annealese or bench source. It's the same thing if it's a flame-based annealer. And that's typically how I will do my annealing. And I know when I say when the brass just starts to glow, when the neck and the start of the shoulder starts to glow, I would get that brass out of the flame by using that test brass. And once it gets set up by using the test brass, that's when I switch over to my actual reloaded brass. That way, the very first piece of reloaded brass is consistent. I know a lot of guys will set up their annealers using the actual brass that they're reloading. In my opinion, you shouldn't be doing that. You should be using test brass. That way, when you do anneal the very first piece of brass, that you're not destroying or not consistently annealing those first couple pieces of brass out of your actual reloaded annealed brass. In my opinion, I think that's really important. You know, and that's the name of the game. You know, it's all about consistency. Everything boils down to consistency, regardless if you're annealing or you're trying to get consistent headspace bumps or consistent neck tension, or you're consistently pulling the trigger on your rifle. It really is all boils down to that word consistency. So, you know, it might be a little long-winded here, but I only got a fun now here to get some information across. So.
First question. You mind showing us right here on live on screen how you anneal one of the test cases, test brass?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Would you mind showing us how you use that annealer?
Yeah, I can show it to you. I don't know if I can do this while running a flame at the same time, but I'll show you at least how it operates.
Well, that WD-40 will work just fine.
Yeah. See if I can set up my tripod here.
Looks pretty good so far, Todd.
So far so good.
Yep.
So
Sure.
every annealer comes with a brand new torch head. We specifically use Burnzomatic torch heads. They're quality torch heads that create a very consistent pencil tip blue flame. Like I said, I usually recommend getting about a 1 1/8 flame, regardless of the brass that you're doing, unless it's a really small casing, something like 300 black. I literally have heard of some guys doing 38 special. But you know, if you're doing something really heavy, like 338, like this 375 Shytac, or something really big like 50 BMG, I know guys that do to it. You might want to put this on max, but usually like your 308 parent cartridges, 223, usually that flame coming out of your blow torch head or torch head should be about 1 1/8 long. This also comes with a free pan to catch your brass. So obviously that goes right here. This is called your tank holder, and there's really not much to it. It's just a U-bolt. It comes with 2 rubber feet, and it's got 2 nuts here. You can adjust this. So you just screw these nuts in and out. And to make this right down to the KISS method, this just goes right over your tank, and you just spin these 2 nuts until the point where, you know, it's not so damn snug that you can't spin this, but you want it pretty snug. And so what I'll do is I'll usually take off one of the feet, just do this by hand, and put this back on. And like I said, you don't want this so damn tight that you can't spin it, but you need to have it so you can spin it, but not so loose that you lose the position of your torch head. So, matter of fact, I got one over here. Let me try and clear off my bench here if I can. One thing's for sure is we all need a bigger bench, don't we?
You got a few things crammed on that bench.
Yeah. And I am building a brand new 17-foot by 17-foot reloading room. Wait till you see that. But so like I said, right here, once your casing is in there, and for example, I'll put something like this 375 Shytac, and this is how this adjusts. You just spin this, what's called the shim plate. Let me see if I can get this a little bit better of a picture here. And usually what I'll do is I'll just put this in here and use it as a gauge. Try my best to do this with a camera in front of me. But something like that. And then I'll adjust what's called the brass stopper. And usually you have that position in the middle of the casing. You just turn your wing nut home until it stops and tighten this up. And that's why we put two little holes, what's called the shim plate. So this part that spins and adjusts inside the drum is called the spin plate, the shim plate. This here is the adjustable fence, and you just adjust this back so that the thickness of this part of the adjustable fence is just in front of the adjustable shim plate. And then you tighten this down. So 1, 2, 3, you're done, and you're ready to rock and roll in regards to 375 Shy-Tac. And I'll let this cycle a few times. And while one drops, you can feed this up onto the adjustable fence here, like so. We'll let this cycle a couple times. And like I said, that's where the EP 2.0 really shines. It's just keep it simple, stupid.
Nicely done, Todd. Nicely done. Thank you.
Yeah, so hopefully that kind of gives you an idea of how this works. And if you want to adjust this to something like 223, you just spin out your wing nut, spin out your shim plate. So somewhere's right around there. And once you've used this a few times, get a method your madness down, you'll fly right through this. So something like right there for 223. Just your shim plate and your fence, and right there you're on to 223. So we just went from 375 Shy-Tac to 223. If I want to, I could adjust this all the way down to 38 special, even with a rim. It doesn't matter. Rimmed or rimless, it just, like I said, it just works, and it's just so simple to use. And this comes with the power supply. We kick in a free can koozie. And we got them boxed up, ready to rock and roll. Matter of fact, I'll show that to you here. So here we're prepping up some rear cases. We're prepping up front cases. We even have some boxed up, ready to rock and roll. We got parts galore here. Shim plates, EP lockdown reloading blocks, ready to rock and roll. You name it, we're working on it. So do this right next to my reloading. I don't know how well this is showing up because I can't see my screen, but
no, we're seeing everything there. That you look like you have a full inventory ready to go out.
Yeah, we're having no issues with parts.
Which is
we're doing really good. And matter of fact, every month that clicks by, we're getting more and more parts. I know some guys are having really issues getting parts, but we've been planning ahead, and we're making sure we're staying in stock of parts, and we got these boxed up, ready to go. 48 states shipped, $268. We'll ship to Canada. The website will figure the price automatically for you for Canada. Matter of fact, we ship all around the world. We, matter of fact, ship to the other side of the world. I think the furthest we ever done is New Caledonia, which is an island off of Australia, I think about 200 miles out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And you'd be amazed where we send these things. It's pretty amazing. So
the comment that's on, I just put on the screen, is from Oder Sigurdsson. He's from Iceland.
yeah, and he's been one of my followers for quite a while in Elster's Rifles and Reloading.
Yep.
He got a hold of me, and we've actually sent, I would say, along with him, but I think about 5 total to Iceland. So it's, man, you really like, wow, you really reload and shoot guns on this dinky little island in the middle Pacific Ocean, and guys do. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So one quick thing I wanted to touch base with was, I guess Reloading's full of opinions, and everyone's got one, and everyone thinks that their opinion is the right opinion. But I know I use the glow method. I know guys like Eric Cortina, when he was doing a flame-based annealers, or Primal Rights, they use the glow method. But I know a lot of guys that use Tempelac, and if you're not familiar with Tempelac, it's a special paste that you put onto the brass. I don't remember the exact temperature. I think it's 750 degrees because I just don't do it. I just use the glow method. that's definitely another way or option to anneal is to use Tempolac. Now, the only reason why I don't use Tempolac and I use just the glow method, in my opinion, using the glow method, you'll get a perfect anneal. That anneal will be down onto the body of the brass exactly a quarter of an inch. Regardless of the size of the case, it needs to heat up that brass of the neck and the shoulder, and that glow indicates that it's been properly and consistently annealed. And the key is keeping the consistent amount of flame coming out of your torch, and that's why I always try to get that flame exactly about an inch into an eighth long. Every time I do that, I know a lot of guys are like, well, when I'm doing 223, I make sure I got 31 on my digital readout, and that's not what it's about. It's going to be close by the next time you do anneal, but it's really about the glow method. If your flame is a little bit longer, or say like your flame is a little bit closer to the brass the next time you anneal, it might not be 33, it might be 35 or something. And that's where the glow method tells you that it's been annealed. And that's where dimming down the lights just right consistently every time and looking for the consistent amount of glow. The neck starts to glow and the shoulder starts to glow. And then when that starts to glow, you get it out of the flame. And when I say it's less than a half a second, it is less than a half a second. If it's more than a half second, the body will start to glow. If it's less than a half second, then neck's not even starting to glow. And that's why I think it's repeatable. And repeatable and consistency is those two main words. And I know a lot of guys use Tempolac, but man, to sit there and rub Tempolac on a neck, over and over and over, it's too much screwing around for me. I just don't have that time. I just want to get in my test brass, get the setup, get it rolling, and get to annealing my brass. And rule of thumb is usually it's between 5 to 7 seconds, depending on what you're annealing. And 50 pieces will take you about 9 or 10 minutes. And to be honest, that's why I don't care if it has a hopper. By the time I filled up the hopper, I've already quarter of the way through annealing with the EP 20 annealer. I'm not kidding. So it's just like, once again, keep it simple, stupid. So, and that's just my method. But like I said, Tempolac is definitely an option if you want to get the temperature set just right. So,
well, if you don't get the brass hot enough, you're not going to anneal properly. Okay. In other words, the brass has to reach a temperature, and it's usually over the 750 degree Tempolac that they have. Mm-hmm. It's about 800 and some degrees. Tempolac just turns color at 750 degrees. No one is fast enough to react to the adjustment of the temperature. And that's one of the things about induction heating is because it does it so fast, it gets it well over 750 degrees. Mm-hmm. But again, who wants to spend the $1,500 for the annealer, and then $20 a piece for the inserts? And if you want to go with the with the case feeder and the Dillon, head and everything else that you need for it, you're $2,300 or so into that situation.
Yeah.
I know there's another company out there that's using the little Annie to and a case feeder to work with its situation, with its setup, and it's in the $1,500 range.
Yeah.
So I thought I'm doing pretty good, looking at $500 when I bought mine 20 years ago. So I'm one of the old ones out there. I've been annealing for a while.
And I'm not saying this. This is coming from Annealing Made Perfect. Matter of fact, it's on one of Eric Cortina's videos. He's interviewing Annealing Made Perfect amp, and they actually said that they tested flame-based annealers, and I believe I could be I'm paraphrasing here, but I believe they were talking about using the glow method or the flame changing color method. And they actually said, as long as you consistently do it, the results were similar to the amp. That's not from me. That's from them. That's in that Eric Cortina video where he's interviewing them. And that's where I said it's all about the word consistency. And that just doesn't boil down to annealing. That's everything. How you run your press handle, how you bump your headspace, your neck tension, how you consistently drop your powder. If one fails, they all fail. And it's really the name of the game. And it's something, if you haven't annealed before, you really just got to jump in head first and do it. And that's why we do put up those videos on EP Integration's YouTube channel to help those guys that just get it. I'm sure the duo here can, I don't know if you guys watch those or not. Hopefully they help.
Oh, absolutely. I watch them all the time. Every video, every live stream usually do. I'm always jumping on. So
yeah, and hopefully that helps you. I not only that, but I have a full series, a start to finish reloading series of how I personally reload. And like I said, everyone's got a different method of their madness, and I'm not saying what I do is right. I just can show you what I do.
Is that video series on your YouTube, on the EP Integrations YouTube?
So the most up-to-date, using the most current reloading products that I have right now, such as the Forester Coax. I also have the FX120i with the V3 auto trickler. I know it's not the V4. I'm kind of kicking around getting that, but I actually been talking to the guys that are making the super trickler that uses the FX120i lab scale. If those guys come out with that, the super trickler, and apparently they're going to send me one for testing purposes. It's going to be a real competitor there with the V4 from Auto Trickler. I do have my old Charge Master here. I have my Frankfurt Arsenal stainless steel tumbler, Lyman Cyclone case dryer. I wouldn't say it's the extremes of what you can purchase, but it's not the lowest end. And the one that reloading series that's on EP Integrations, a 5-part series, I try to keep it as condensed as possible, but I'm telling you everything I think you need to know, especially for the new reloader. And I split it up into 5 different parts for the new reloader too, so that they're not having to dredge through 5 hours of videos, And that's probably my most up-to-date one that's on EP Integrations. Now, when it comes to Elster's rifles and reloading, I've had that channel for years and years, and I probably have, I'm not exaggerating, over 10 different start to finish reloading series on Elster's rifles and reloading, everywhere from 223 to like 6.5 Grundle, 308, 6.5 Creedmoor, you name it, it's on there. And not only that, but I'm showing the results too. I'm actually going to the range and shooting that ammunition just to, but if you want the most up-to-date video series that I personally have done, it would definitely be on EP Integrations. The guys that ask me, hey, I'm new reloading, I want to get into reloading, what should I do? Can I come over to your house and learn how to reload? I'm like, dude, just go to EP Integrations, watch that 5-part series. I literally cannot tell you anything in person that video series cannot. That's usually what I recommend most guys doing when they're getting in reloading, especially for annealing that second part. It's very in-depth, and I'm definitely telling those guys what they absolutely need to know, and what they don't need to know, and trying to keep it as streamlined as possible.
You're showing though that there's a difference between reloading and I call it hand loading. Okay, is you're dealing with 50, 100 cases at a time. We have people here that deal with 1,000 cases at a time. That's reload, just to reload, where you're sitting there saying, this is how to go through it to make a very accurate load. Yeah.
So most of those start to finish series will be more for the precision reloader. Literally, your headspace bumps are no less than 1,000th of an inch difference on the headspace bumps. You're dropping powder with an FX120i lab scale down to the 0.02 grain weight. No joke, probably 1 or 2 specks of individual barget powder type thing. I do have a 9mm and 45 ACP progressive series on there using my lock and load Hornady press. And that is definitely on there. And I am doing that progressively. You know, for me though, to try and do like 1,000 pieces of hand loading or reloading, whatever you want to call it. You know, like I said, everyone's got a different method of their madness. That's just not mine. I'm more precision guns. You know, I'm currently getting into pistol, and matter of fact, I got the new Canic Rival here, and I'm about to do a series on that. And I do progressively reload for pistol for sure, but that's pretty much the extent of my channel. I would say.
Well, Zeke is asking, should he be reloading 223 5.56 for semi-auto firearms?
Annealing.
Annealing.
Yeah, so I would say, my opinion, it doesn't take that long to anneal. I don't see why there's a reason why you shouldn't anneal. If you don't mind, roughly 5 to 6 seconds extra time in your reloading process per piece, I don't see why you shouldn't. And that's another good question is, you know, some guys ask, how often do you anneal? I know some guys that do every other. I personally do every single time it gets fire form. So if you fire that brass and it gets fire form, so you pull the trigger, the sear releases, the hammer comes home on the firing pin, hits the primer, the powder ignites, the powder ignites with over 50,000 psi, and that brass expands and literally seals off into that firearms chamber and now is fire formed. If it becomes fire formed, in my opinion, you should be annealing it, especially if you want precision ammunition. Now, do you have to do it? You definitely don't. You definitely do not need to anneal. For years, I went for years and years without annealing. But the things you're going to get is longevity of the brass. You're going to get extra life out of the brass. You're going to let less split neck, especially for 223 and 556. One of the banes of that cartridge is split necks. Annealing definitely helps with that in regards to softening the brass from being work hardened. And that will get more firings out of that brass, especially now when brass is hard to get. The other beneficial reasons why you'd want to anneal is, my opinion, one of the most important is consistent headspace bumps. And I know that right now there's an argument whether you should anneal before and after. And like I said, everyone's got a different opinion on that. My opinion is I always decap first, I clean, and then I anneal, and then I resize, because I'm fighting for the most consistent headspace bump. If my headspace bumps are less than 1/1000th of an inch consistency on every single piece, I'm not happy. And that's where annealing helps with that process. I know some guys will say you should anneal after it's been fired. I'm not arguing with those guys. But that process of that 50,000 psi plus pressure in that casing expanding rapidly, my opinion, doesn't give two craps about your annealing after the fact that it's been resized, in my opinion. And when the reason why these precision reloaders are annealing is they want the consistent headspace bumps and the consistent neck tension. And that's typically always done before that process to achieve that, to produce the accurate results. And that's just my opinion. And I know some guys will anneal after it's been sized. You know, that's just not me, and I just don't do that. But for me, it's consistent headspace bumps, consistent neck tension, less split necks, longevity of the brass. It helps with case head separation. Not so much, you know, usually case head separation's in the middle of the brass. But the problem is a lot of these guys are overworking the brass. They're bumping the headspace back way too much because they're not using bump gauges. They're using like SAMI spec case gauges, not bump gauges. And they're, no joke, knocking their headspace back 9/1000th of an inch, and then it fire forms back 9/1000th of an inch, and they bump it back 9/1000th inch because they have no clue what they're actually resizing that brass. They are overworking that brass, and that brass is getting case hardened. Annealing will help with that problem, but really you should be resizing properly. And personally, for me, when I resize semi-automatics, usually bumping back from fire form 3 to 4/1000ths of an inch, and for semi-autos I do 2/1000ths of an inch from fire form. And by doing a minimal headspace bump, using bump gauges and not case gauges. They're doing some ridiculous thing where you're screwing down the die until it comes in contact with the shell plate and giving a quarter turn or whatever. You know, all those methods add up to the point of getting more longevity out of your brass and more consistent results out of your reloading process.
Now, when I start with new brass, brand new brass, and I go through my procedure, which means that, you know, clean it, you know, all the case prep that goes with it, you know, turning the necks, all that other stuff, I'll go through all that first, size the case down and everything else, and then I'll send it through and anneal it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just because I've done all that work to harden it up, you know, cutting it, you know, bringing the neck down and expanding it out with an expander die, I will go through and anneal.
Yeah.
But then after that, yes, after every firing, it is annealed. So, and
yeah, you know, I guess the way I look at it is which is more violent, bumping back your headspace 0.02 of an inch or over 50,000 psi in your chamber, rapidly expanding your casing. And I guess it all boils down if you want a consistent headspace bump, or in your case, you want a consistent neck tension. Both are just as important.
Yeah.
You know,
I think
I personally don't turn necks. I could see what you're talking about. But when it comes to new brass, I don't even anneal new brass. Once it's been fire formed, then I'm more concerned about, you know, annealing and consistent neck tension. It really depends on the firearm. You know, it's one thing to have a custom rig where you know that brass is only going to expand little to nothing, 1,000, 2,000 of an inch. But it's a whole nother thing is if you got a mass-produced factory firearm, and I've seen this before, brand spanking new factory brass or brand new reloadable brass, and you fire form that brand new brass, and it, no joke, expands 8-9 thousandths of an inch. That's not
easy. Yeah, easy.
That's not precision ammunition. And a lot of times I won't waste that ammunition. I will practice with that ammunition to get it fire formed. And then once it's fire formed, if it's semi-automatic, I will bump back that fire formed brass 3 to 4 thousandths of an inch for semi-automatic for functionality. Or if it's a bolt action, most guys, it seems like in the tip of the spear that are doing full length resizing and bumping back brass from fire form, they're usually bumping it back 2 thousandths of an inch. And the days of doing neck only and not bumping back headspace is kind of gone to the wayside, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion, you know, and that's what reloading is all about, isn't it? It really is all about, you know, your method and making your own method your method type of thing. So,
yep,
sure. You know, I look at it though is that we know that once we fire that piece of brass in that firearm, it's going to shrink back some. Okay, it isn't a hard lockup.
Yeah,
when we look at it,
probably less than a thousandths of an inch, probably.
Right. Yeah. So we know that we're coming down, but still we move it down that 1,000th or 2,000ths of an inch, and for our bump. And I worry about neck tension because that to me can make a whole lot of difference in your accuracy.
Yeah. Yeah, but I understand what you're saying, but then again, is bumping a headspace from fire form 1 to 2 thousandths of an inch work hardening? In my opinion, it's not. You know, especially in a bolt action. You know, I see this all the time, especially with once fired Lake City brass that's been fired out of a military grade fully automatic weapon, and I will buy that off a guy 1,000 pieces, no joke. You know, 1,000 pieces for $60, and that has a way excessive headspace. And I'm going to be bumping back that headspace well over 10 thousandths of an inch. And if I don't anneal that brass before I bump it, I'm going to be sitting there all day long. And not only that, I might have to run it through the die more than once. It's sometimes 2 or 3 times to get it down to my desired bumped headspace. And that's where annealing really helps. And for those that are not familiar with what annealing does, is it softens the brass. When the brass expands, it fills into the chamber, and the fire, that powder ignites, the brass expands. If you know what you're bumping the headspace back, you're only bumping it back 2,000 of an inch. That's not a lot. But if you don't, and you're guessing, and you consistently bumping it back 8,000, fire pouring it back 8,000, bumping it 8,000, then yeah, I could see what you're saying. But my opinion, what's more violent, the brass massively expanding or bumping back a mild 1 or 2,000 of an inch? That's just my opinion.
I understand. I just sit down and say that I deal with military brass too, especially in 308.
Yeah.
I shoot an M1A, which is a brass hog, I call it. You have to sit down and say, here's a factory round. I'm going to take it and I'm going to shoot a factory, say a Lake City round in it, a 147 grain, and then I'm going to take it. I'm going to measure it. I know what my chamber is in my M1A. Okay, I know it's 1.632, and off the top of my head, and so I can sit down and say, okay, and I can see how much my brass is expanded over that, because again, an M1A eats brass, and work it from there.
Yeah.
But yes, it's so much easier to sit down and anneal it first, and then move my shoulder back, and go from there. I mean, if I anneal it, I got a soft case. I'm dealing with something that's resizable, not something. If you get machine gun brass, like you're saying, and I've used machine gun brass. I have boxes of Lake City down here that's loaded. Okay. You have to, you got to do it. You got to anneal it right away before you can even start touching it.
Yeah, 100%.
I have broken a 308 die, split one. Okay.
By oversizing full auto.
Trying to size down military brass.
Yeah.
Okay. So RCBS sent me a new one for it, but you're still, that's how hard it is to get it to size.
Yeah.
Get it to the right size.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. A lot of people, when they buy their brand new ammo, they like seeing that it's annealed, and you've got that nice definitive annealed line.
Yeah.
Nick and I have noticed when we anneal brass, of course, we decap it, clean it, anneal it, resize it. Then I clean it again because I'm going to get the lube off of it before we do charging it and seating a bullet.
Yeah.
It seems like when we do that second cleaning, we lose our anneal marks.
Yeah, because brass shows anneal marks differently.
Right.
So brand new brass that has been laying around or sitting in the bag for a long time and has a chance to oxidize. The oxidization, even though the brass looks new and it looks really shiny, it has some oxidization to it, and that oxidization reacts with the annealing process and gives you that nice dark rich the anneal bark that everyone wants, right? But if you take that exact same brass and you don't fire it or nothing, and you run it through a stainless steel wet tumbler, especially for a long time with Let Me Shine and Dawn for 2 hours, and it comes out even more, like it's to the point where it's almost pink. It's like super, and that brass will hardly show an anneal mark at all. Okay. And also different grades of brass, depending on how much copper or tin or whatnot in the composite of the brass itself. Better grades like Lapua brass will show more deep, rich anneal marks than something like really crappy, picked off the ground Lake City brass or something. But that same Lapua brass, if you were to run it through a stainless steel tumbler for a long time, got it really shiny and sparkly, it will damn near not show an anneal mark.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean that it's not annealed. It just doesn't show an anneal mark because it hasn't had a chance to oxidize. If you were to wash that brass and let it sit in and dry and sit in the corner of your loading room for a month, then you nailed it, it would show a nice, deep, rich anneal mark. And that's kind of what everyone's going for, but just because it doesn't show a anneal mark, it doesn't mean it's not annealed. Yeah. And like I said, it really depends on the grades of the brass or how you clean your brass. So if you don't use wet stainless steel tumbling and you do something more like tumbling with walnut media, I know some of these newer guys like Eric Patina, F-Class John, so those guys, they're cleaning with bright. Well, actually, Eric Patina, he doesn't clean his brass at all. He leaves it dirty. But like F-Class John and Johnny's Reloading, I think, or whatever, they tumble with rice. And they put a little bit of imperial case wax in there and some type of wax with the rice. And there's a lot to be said about that with tumbling with dry media, whether it's rice or walnut media. Some of those guys like to leave some of that carbon fouling in the necks for a natural lubricant for the bullet. There's a lot. I think there's a lot of truth when it comes to using stainless steel wet tumbling and over cleaning your brass. And that grabbing too hard onto that bullet, especially if you got really tight neck tension. But with that being said, like you mentioned, just because it doesn't show a anneal mark right out of a wet tumbler doesn't mean it's not annealed. It's just you cleaned it. It hasn't had a chance to oxidize.
Okay. What are the manufacturers doing before sizing or after sizing? Kind of like what Paul was saying.
You know, I'm gonna be honest with you, I really don't know. That's a good question. I've never seen that process. But once again, you know, it's like, should you anneal every other firing or every firing? Like, in my opinion, it's just like just gonna method your Manus down. In my opinion, you should be annealing every time in regards to, so you continue the consistent process. In my opinion, if you don't anneal at least every other time, you shouldn't anneal at all. If you're annealing like every third time, just don't even do it. So my opinion, which I'm like Paul, I'm not disagreeing with him. It's just his method. You know, I anneal every single time. If it gets fire formed, it gets annealed. And usually brand new brass, like Starline brass that literally is going in my bolt action and damn near doesn't need to be bumped. Sometimes it's not even bumped at all because it's already at the set headspace that I need it to be. I don't even nail it. It's brand new brass, but once it's been fire form, I anneal it every time.
I'm glad you mentioned that because when we do case conversions, we'll anneal it before sizing it to the new case, then we'll fire form it. So you will anneal it after we fire form it too. Yeah, and if you know you're gonna full length resize a case and massively bump back that headspace, in my opinion, that annealing process will greatly help with that. Not only for getting a consistent headspace bump, but also so you know, some of this Lake City brass I would get is no joke, damn near 10,000 of an inch past where I want it to be. And you can't bump all that in one shot. Sometimes that's ran through the sizing die twice. Someone gets really stubborn, especially if you don't anneal it, you got to run it through 3 times. Yeah. The annealing process definitely helps with that without a doubt. So we found that in the Martini Henry multiple times to anneal it. You know, and different head stamps make a difference too. You know, they have different compositions to them. That's why when I try to get Lake City brass, I try to get the same matching head stamp. Depends how anal you want to get. You'd be surprised if you watch my Vortex scopes review I just did on the Vortex Venom and the Arcan Optics scope I just got doing with my Rock River Arms 20-inch varmint bull barrel. I'm using Lake City brass. That's not Lapo brass or Lapo, or I don't know what you want to call it. It's Lake City brass that I, no joke, bumped back, I think 8 to 10 thousandths of an inch. And I made sure I had all the consistent headspace bump, consistent head stamps. And that video shows, I mean, well under sub MOA. I think I was getting groups down the quarter minute of angle out of a 20-inch Rock River varmint bull barrel AR. You know, it's, you know, once again, it boils down to that word consistency, and it's finding that your own path to your own journey. It really is, you know.
Ray, just so you know that factory ammunition, as they're forming and making the brass, it's annealed many times.
Okay.
All right. because it's going through a stamp process as they run it through. They hit it in a punch, and maybe hit it twice, and then they anneal it. They don't anneal like we do here.
Okay.
All right, until the last end of it, when they're getting and forming the necks, and that they run it through a machine that actually is an induction annealer, and it just runs the brass through in a line. So,
Be interesting.
it's hard to get into. Starline doesn't let anybody go in there anymore. They used to. You could get into Starline and see how they manufacture brass.
So Todd.
Yeah.
Tell us about that other shiny little thing sitting there on your bench.
Yeah, so this is the EP Integrations lockdown block. So this is an adjustable reloading tray or block. I got sick and tired of Scott Peterson. I got really sick and tired of hunting down the perfect reloading tray or block, whatever you want to call it. So this is an adjustable reloading tray or block that will work just under 223 and a little over 375 tack. Right now, I do have 375 tack in here. Probably one of the biggest casings that most of your guys are going to precision reload for. I don't know if I can try and get this on camera or not, but I'll try. And what's nice about this, obviously, it's completely adjustable, just like the EP 1200 Annealer. So it's kind of our motto is easy adjustments, quick and fast. Is this showing up all right for you guys?
Sure.
Yep.
So right now I got in there 375 tack, and so I can take these out. And it's three different plates. We got 2 stainless steel knurled knobs. So high quality stainless steel knurled knobs. I'll set these off the side. So there's 3 different plates, and it's another thing we got a patent pending on. It's the base plate, the middle adjustable plate, and then the top plate that has somewhat of a chamfer around the mouth opening here and also around the perimeter of the lockdown block. And not only that, but we also supply 4 rubber feet. We purposely send the rubber feet loose and separate, giving the option of whether or not you want to put those rubber feet on. So I'll show you those rubber feet right here. Just a peel and stick type sticker rubber feet. And I tell you, what's really nice about this is obviously you got the weight of the aluminum, but also the rubber feet. And I'm sure the duo over there can attest, this thing does not move at all. I mean, it's almost like plastered to your bench top. And just to kind of give you a quick rundown here, this is 375 tack. So I can put this in, I can adjust this, and I can either lock this home, that's where the name comes from, lockdown block. If you're, for example, dropping powder, personally, I like to lock it down. And you can see there is little to no wobble whatsoever. Try and do that with your average block. That's not going to happen. And I can go from that to something like 223, and no joke, 1 second. And I can lock that down. And you'll never have to hunt down the perfect ammo tray or block ever again. And that's where this thing really, really shines. And matter of fact, it even works with rim cases like this 3030. If you do rim cases, it does cant a little bit, the thickness of the rim, but to be honest with you, it's not a big issue. It's completely locked down. You can drop your powder. When you're done, you can feather this off. You can easily add and remove those cases. So, but that's where this really, really shines. It gives you the opportunity to lock this home if you're dropping powder. And when you're ready to seat those bullets, you can feather this off ever so slightly, and you can easily add and remove those cases. And, once again, to go from just under 223 to a little over 375 tack, never have to worry about hunting down the perfect ammo tray or block ever again. And we sell these, they were 124. The more we produce, the easier the aluminum is to get, which right now it's not. COVID's kind of screwed all that up. aluminum's obviously gone up in price, but it kind of fluctuates. And right now we're selling for $109 shipped lower 48 states. We do plan on coming out with a plastic version. I actually have the prototype over here. I'm just not going to show it right now. But that is coming. We just don't know when. And a lot of people have been asking us for that. Hopefully that will drop the price, but it could be some time if that ever happens. But to be honest with you, I like the aluminum, and I'm sure that the duo can attest to this. The weight of the aluminum is where it really shines along with the rubber feet. And then once you're dropping powder, you can lock down those cases. Never do you have to worry about spilled powder. Like you accidentally swipe your hand across this or something. You get something like one of these blocks, which I'm sure everyone has seen, like the good old red Joshua block here. Yeah, it works, but this is spilt powder, and it's never perfect. With the EP lockdown block, it's always perfect, and that's where this really shines. And it's kind of one of those heirloom reloading products, similar to something like a zero press, or getting something like an FX129 powder dispenser. I would say it's a premium Cadillac reloading product. But as we produce more, we're getting the price down, hopefully to a point, and I think we're already there, that your average Joe can afford. And it's one of those things, like, once you use it, you don't want to use anything else, it just works. And I just don't ever touch my regular blocks anymore. It just it's really spectacular.
All right. Well, we appreciate you coming on and talking about everything. And
yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. So I'd like to come back on here if I get some more time.
Yeah, absolutely. Just message us, hit me up, let me know.
Yeah. You guys got any other questions before I head out here?
They had a question if that block holds 4570.
So it will hold anything rimmed or not rimmed, a little under 223 and a little over 375 shy tack. So if it falls between those base diameters, it will fit. And we made sure that this will fit all the way down to 300 blackout. I do have the blackout case in there somewhere, but heck, even if I want to do 38 special, I could. So I don't see that being an issue whatsoever. We were kicking around doing a clear up to 50 BMG initially, but really, you got 50 BMG, you probably have a dedicated block for that. Most people aren't like progressively precision reloading that. They're usually in the 375 realm or under. So that's kind of why we designed it that way. So, like I said, it will adjust just under 223 and just a tad over 375 shy tack.
Excellent. All right. So I'll have links to your website where they can purchase the 2.0 and the lock block. And then I've also got links to both your EP integrations and your Elfster's Rifles YouTube pages for it that we'll share out.
I appreciate that. And like you mentioned, on our website, which is www.epintegrations.com, we sell the EP 2.0 Annealer plus the lockdown block. We're a Vortex dealer. We do have Vortex products on there. Matter of fact, if you're looking to get something like a Vortex Venom or Vortex Strike Eagle, we do have Vortex binoculars on there. We do have what's called EP bonus box. So if you buy something like, off the top of my memory, don't quote me on this, but I believe the EP Vortex Strike Eagle gets 75 bonus bucks. So if you buy that scope and that gets shipped, we issue a $75 EP bonus box that you can use on an Annealer or a lockdown block. So if you need the scope anyways, we have free shipping, 48 states. It comes with a free Vortex hat. And then also the EP bonus bucks. And depending on what you buy Vortex wise, they have different rates of bonus bucks. I believe the binoculars, don't quote me on this, I think it's 25 bonus bucks and all the way up to $75 in the Vortex Strike Eagle. You can redump that money into a Annealer or lockdown block. So if lockdown block's 109 and you got 75 bonus bucks, that lockdown block's going to cost you next to nothing. So that's just something we want to give you guys as an added savings to try and get either a Annealer or a lockdown block. So obviously we got our YouTube channel, we have our Facebook page and Instagram. And if you got any questions, don't hesitate to jump on. The best way to get a hold of us is either email us or you can jump on Facebook Messenger and send us a message. And we're pretty darn quick. I'm Johnny on the spot. I will be emailing you, no joke, within minutes of you send it more times than not, unless I'm on some beach in Florida drinking beer. So
Just so you know that yes, it will fit a 4570 case.
yes,
We looked it up. Okay.
Yeah.
375 Shytech per CIP is 16 millimeters as a base, and 4570 is 15. So we're good there.
Yeah, 375 Shytech's a pretty beefy case. So if you're doing anything above and beyond that, you're more in the 50 BMG world, and not many guys are precision reloading for that or using lockdown blocks. And if you are, you most likely got your own dedicated block. So.
All right. Well, I think that about answers most of the questions we have for you. So,
yeah.
Unless you have anything else, we'll
No, I
let
think
you go.
that's it. And like I said, thanks for having me on, and definitely be jumping back on here. We can talk about something else other than the Annealers and lockdown blocks, right?
There's a lot to it.
It is.
Yep.
There's a lot to it.
All right, my friends. Well, thanks for having me on, and I will talk to you guys later. Okay.
Thanks,
Sounds
Todd.
good.
Todd.
Take
Thanks,
it easy.
Todd.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. So, what's everyone been up to?
Well, I got my 550 up and running, except for my small primer. Punch. I have not been able to get to adjust my seat my primers deep enough yet, but working on it. Little stoning here and working on the punch base, and it does work.
Remember, Paul, on the side of that primer slide, you have a set screw in there. You could probably drive it down quite a bit.
Yeah, it's getting it so it comes up, and there's the flat base of the stop that's in there is the biggest thing.
That's right.
You got
You're
that.
right. You want that
colander,
punch, you want that punch to come up, not down.
Right. I want it to come up so I can sit down and take off a thousandths at a time on a stone. And
what if you were to get a small piece of lead shot and put it down in there, something tiny? It would have to be tiny. Too big?
Won't work. Yeah, won't work.
Okay.
No, it's the actual aluminum stop that they have when that shell plate hits and pushes the punch up. You need to lower that slightly, and Dylan sends them out set at 3,000ths below the head, and so I have to slowly go through it and take it down. It took about a day to do the large primer.
Wow.
So
That's quite a bit of work.
To answer your question, Mike, as far as me personally going to do anything reloading or guns or anything, I've been busy, but it's been with non-gun related stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know you did some traveling, so.
Yeah. How about you, Mike, Nick and Ray?
What did we do this weekend?
I've bought a couple items at a military swap meet. Picked up a new helmet shell that I'm gonna be doing a project on. Start here soon. It's painted white. I'm gonna probably strip it down.
Good old fashioned GI iron
Oh,
bucket,
yeah.
rain bucket.
Yeah, this one is an Israeli 60s copy,
Mm.
but it'll do the job for what I'm doing with it. Also picked me up a pith helmet. Cool. So I'll be able to reenact Zulu.
There you go. Get her done.
I also picked up 100 rounds of 7mm Mauser at a local gun shop they had, and so I got pretty good price. And I got internet price, so I didn't have to pay shipping. That was the big thing.
Nice.
What's the big thing we did? Condition the 2 rifles.
Oh yeah, boiled the 2 Mausers I got last week.
Yeah.
They turned out really good. Yeah, that
Nice.
Brazilian.
Now, what do you mean by boiled?
So I'll post some pictures somewhere. I'll find a way to do pictures. I'm probably gonna be starting Instagram here for my channel here soon. So if you look at, like, for instance, my Mauser, my Brazilian had a lot of surface rust or starting to get oxidation, pitting on it.
Not really pitting.
No, I'm more just surface rust. So what we do is you take turkey fryer, get you a cheap pot, put a toilet flange on top, fill it with distilled water, and just get a PVC tube, and you hang the barreled action in. And what it does is that steam basically lifts all that surface rust up. Then you just take a carting wheel and you just cart all that off, and you bring back the original bluing.
That's all bluing is. You converting. Don't quote me on the terms here. I think the iron oxide rust, which is brown, and when you boil it, you can convert it to ferric oxide, which is the blue. And when you run it through a carting wheel or 4-aught steel wool, and you got a blue finish again.
You got it. You
Yeah.
got it right.
I'm good.
Ferric oxide. That's
Yeah.
what you're looking at.
Yeah. If you go to Mark Novak's website or YouTube channel, he's got an excellent presentation on it. And I would tell you what, if you got an old rifle that's got patina and you want to make it look brand new again, or I shouldn't say brand new, but bring the best out of it you can, do that.
You're restoring it. You're not making it new.
We call it
You're
restoring class
restoring.
conservation of it.
Conservation.
Right.
Is what we call it.
Conservation. Yeah.
And what is it? We got into it. $40 in parts.
Yep.
Most people have a turkey fryer, a cheap stainless steel pot with a lid at Walmart's $10. Toilet flange is $3-4 at most.
Yeah.
And then piping's another $5-10.
Yep.
If you look at Mark's latest one,
Yeah.
he used a cardboard box.
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay, a cardboard
Shipping U-Haul box. Yes.
U-Haul
Yeah.
box. What do they call it? It's not just a U-Haul box. It's a clothing box. Okay, it's a hanging clothing box, and with the metal post across it, you put a hot plate and a pan of water in there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Got it to boil, and that was it.
Yeah. Like if you've got even an old pistol like a Type 66 Smith & Wesson that's got surface rust on it, just disassemble the whole thing, put it in a stainless steel pot with some distilled water, boil it for about a half an hour, take some 4-aught steel wool that's been soaked in alcohol to get the oil off of it, and just buff it with that. Then once you get it buffed, put it into some kerosene, let it sit for 24 hours and reassemble it. You'll be amazed how well it'll look.
It's not a 66. You can't do a 66.
Well, something that's
19 or a 10.
You're right.
Okay.
It's got to be.
Can't do stainless steel.
Right.
You can't do stainless steel.
Yeah, I said, don't quote me on the model. Like an older turn of the century carbon blued barrel.
Right.
Rifle.
You just can't do stainless steel. It doesn't work that way.
Correct. I knew I had the model wrong.
You're not up on your revolvers.
I'm not a revolver guy.
Yeah, what'd you get? Did you do anything good this week besides the rifles?
I bought a bolo knife. Bought a
1917.
1917 bolo knife and a sheath. Got a really good deal on that. So it was a busy weekend.
Yeah. Hopefully, you're going to be doing some filming this weekend. So
Yeah.
doing some YouTube videos, and that's going to be Sunday's project. And then, I also went to a wedding and got a little bit too intoxicated.
Did you
But
take candy?
no,
Oh, no.
Candy did not go anywhere this weekend. But I hate to say it, that's probably the fastest I've ever seen a bottle of whiskey go down. I think we finished a bottle of whiskey in about 15 minutes.
I gotta say this too, Nick. You're learning. You're learning well. Somebody mentions candy, you got to go with the flow.
So,
good job.
That's right.
Hopefully go and shoot with some buddies this weekend on Saturday, and then we're gonna go out and film some videos on Sunday. So stay tuned for some videos.
Good.
Sounds good.
How about you, sir?
Well, if I move to the side a little bit here, you can see the pile got a little less.
Hey,
Yeah.
So that was kind of what I did in between doing all of my wife's honeydew list last week. So I made a little bit of progress. And that's about it.
All right.
Yeah, nothing else real exciting here. So running with scissors. Come on, work, you stupid ass computer. I give up. Anyway, bought a Howa and 6.5 grand old, ready to take to range and break in. Anyone else own one? Was surprised they had break-in instructions. Have one from PSA, Palmetto State Armory, lives in South Carolina, drive to store and pick up. Don't like? What, you don't like driving to the store and picking up? Anyway, I guess that's the question on what you don't like, or are you talking about the break-in? So there's probably 30 different options out there for breaking in a rifle. Wouldn't you say, Paul?
At least.
Exactly, at least, if not more.
I mean, I have
I'm sure you probably got 4 different methods depending on what you're doing with it.
You got 4 different manufacturers of barrels that tell you a different way to do it. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, each one is different. You know, and so that's just barrel manufacturers that I've used. You know what? I take a bore scope, I go through it, I look at it, and I go from there. If it looks ratty or something in the inside, okay, then I may have to do a little more work on it. But clean it, shoot it, and by the time I get done shooting it, I'm going to wear the barrel out anyway, so I ain't worried about it.
So my typical break-in is if it's not something that I'm going to be trying to get real fancy with, like say AR, I'm breaking in an AR barrel. I'll shoot 5 rounds, clean it, shoot 5 rounds, clean it, shoot 5 rounds, clean it, shoot 5 rounds, clean it. If it's something that I'm really wanting to make sure I get really good accuracy out of, shoot around, clean it, shoot around, clean it, shoot around, clean it. So through 20 rounds. Now, why do we have a break-in process? What's it matter? What's it do?
Break-in is you're knocking down the edges of the lands and grooves. You're seasoning the barrel. I mean, as far as seasoning and getting, putting copper down, pulling it out, putting carbon into it, pulling it out. It's you have unless it's a honed barrel, it's been lead lapped and everything. You're sitting there going, yeah, here's all the rough spots that have been to knock down that you have to do. And that's why I say I look through mine with a bore scope and I sit down and say, am I going to just shoot it the way it is and have to spend maybe 50, 60 more rounds to go through the gun? Or am I going to sit down and say, No, I'm going to take some fits and go through the bore and knock down some of the high spots with my my cleaning kit, and well, that's with a bore guide and everything else, so everything is parallel to the action and to the bore of the gun. So I'm not running my cleaning rod into the lands and grooves. I'm using a coated cleaning rod. You know, cleaning can be just as bad for a gun as not cleaning it, depending upon how you go about cleaning the gun and what you're using to clean the gun with, especially when it's brand new barrel. I'd rather shoot 5 rounds through it and then put a patch through it with some solvent on it, and then put another 5 rounds through it, put a patch through it with solvent on it, and go that way. That way I'm not trying to scrub something out that's really maybe not there at the time yet. Or if it's got a rough barrel, well, maybe then, I may go 20 rounds, just try to knock some of that edge off. Worst comes to worse, Tubbs makes bullets that you can buy that are coated with an abrasive. If it need be, a real rough throat or something like that, you may need to take and, I wouldn't say use his beginning bullets, but the middle or the end, and final finish is what the bullets are, and run a couple of those down through it. It just depends upon the barrel. I mean, I can't.
Yeah, it's definitely dependent on the barrel.
On the barrel, yeah.
And it's not even manufacturer dependent. It's on the barrel because, depending on where it was made in the run, it may be different.
Yeah. I mean, if especially factory barrels are, who knows where, someone picked it out and screwed it on and that was it. They just going down the line. So, that's what I look at. I mean, if you get an AR barrel and you're sitting there and you run a bore scope up it and you look and all of a sudden you hit the gas port, and when they drilled the gas port in, they left this big chip hanging there. What are you going to do about it?
Right.
So, that's that's the thing that we have to look at. How do we get something like that out? Is that possible? If it's real bad, we take and send it back to the manufacturer.
Right.
But if it's a minor imperfection, well, then we'd have to figure out what's the best way to work around it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think the U.S. Army's breaking in all their M4 barrels. I think they just clean them and issue them.
Pretty much.
Well, you don't have to worry about the Army, because the Army is going to sit down and they're going to clean them and clean them and clean them and clean them. Okay.
Yeah.
And, that's basically what you end up doing for half your life is cleaning rifle barrels.
Yeah.
We all know, all of us old timers know that that's just nothing more than a holdover from corrosive primers.
Right. But they sit down and they do it, and they want you to sit down and put that brush through it, and then, here you are with a chrome lined barrel and you're putting the brush through it and brushing it and brushing it and brushing it. And you look at it and you go, I'm wearing the chrome off,
Right.
So, Oh, there's copper in there. No, that ain't copper. That's the chrome coming off. Oh, yeah. I thought in basic we cleaned rifles a lot. When I got to Germany, that's when we really cleaned rifles.
Yeah.
Question on screen from John W. His question is, just got my lead pot in, looking to add antimony to my scrap lead. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't antimony toxic, especially when it's pure?
I couldn't answer that.
I'd be more worried about the lead fumes.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
Well, let me Google it. See what I come up with.
Talks about exposure like you would get with like any other heavy metal.
Yeah, but that's long-term exposure.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are getting antimony from pewter when
Yep.
Yep. The pewter dishes.
Yeah.
Studies in workers who are typically exposed to higher levels of antimony, that would be people that work with it, show that breathing antimony dust can cause heart and lung problems, stomach pain, diarrhea, vomiting, and stomach ulcers. Swallowing large doses of antimony can cause vomiting in people.
Shit, that sounds like a good time right there.
Exactly. It's like, don't breathe the stuff, don't eat the stuff. It's like, wash your hands when you're done. If you do get a little dust on it, well, you know what? Wet it down. I know you don't.
No.
Wait a minute. I know you don't put wet lead in a hot pot. I know that. But you can take and put water in your pot and put your dry lead in that and boil the water off. I've done it. Boil the water off. But anyway, no, you don't.
But you're saying do this in a cold pot, not a hot pot.
Yes.
Right. Yes. Please. Cold pot.
So what happens if you put water in that pot when it's hot?
When it's hot, the tinsel fairy bitch comes right out and she gives you a big old kiss right in the face. And that's where candy came from, Nick. All right. Anyway, no, you don't put hot water in a hot pot.
If he's looking at antimony and he's using a lot of scrap lead, he's going to have a lot of it in there unless it's plumbing lead or something like that.
Right.
And he should look for some linotype or whatever if he can find it to adjust his hardness down.
Well, linotype contains lead or antimony.
Right. That's why you use linotype, because it's a solid form and isn't powdered.
That's right.
And
linotype is a known alloy. If it's real linotype, you got a good alloy there. You can alloy it down with a little bit of pure lead and still come up with Lyman number 2.
Right.
Is that one calculator still on the Discord site? That if you put in how much you...
I don't remember. It should be somewhere.
Yeah,
I can always repost
That's
it.
pretty nice, depending whether you're using range scrap or wheel weights, and it'll tell you how much you've got of each element.
Oh, okay.
I'll repost it. I think I have it saved. I can always post it again.
Yep.
But the most scientific way I found was using my Lee hardness tester.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That way I have a pretty good idea how hard my material is and what I got to do to alloy it up.
Which is tricky. I drive myself crazy using mine. I'll do it 4 or 5 times and see if I get the same thing. And
well, you're crazy as shit. I was right anyway, Ray.
I don't blame you, Ray. I hate using the Lee.
Loads of Bacon made a mount that he sells over on the Reloaders Network to make a heck of a lot easier to use and a lot more consistent.
I've got it. It works, but I'd have to see if I can mount the bore scope to the end of that to get a better. Because getting my eye just right on that little scope is difficult.
Well, there you go.
We can almost make a mount of some sort.
But I'm just wondering if I
We'll
have
play with
a
it.
rig to hold the bore scope right above that, if it would work.
You almost need to get a pistol rigid rod because the long one's almost
True.
too
I mean,
long.
a
If you can
smaller
get a
rod would
pistol,
work.
like a 10-inch pistol rod, rigid one,
Why not get a flexible one? That way you can just
or
mount it.
or even a flexible.
Because they're even cheaper. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that would
So-
probably work.
You know.
Yeah.
But the other way is to get the I think, what is it, Redding that makes it, or Seiko? Seiko, the hard
Yeah,
instructor from
that's
Seiko.
that's a nice one.
That's the one to get.
Mm-hmm.
So
Alrighty. Well, I think that about covers it for now, gang. What's
good one,
Primary
Todd.
Arms got going on for sales?
A few pounds of peanut, but no way to test the hardness yet.
So Primary Arms has a range day sale going on right now. Bunch of optics. EOTech 512 is $489, and it's got $120 in bonus bucks. What are the bonus bucks? So we got to figure out what bonus bucks are.
No.
Cranky. I don't know. Maybe it's a coupon or something. I can't tell.
Yeah, I've seen that bonus bucks before. I'm not sure what that is. I
Yeah.
saw it before somewhere.
I see a little green button in the lower corner to get $20 off. It's probably some sort of related coupon.
$120 in bonus bucks won't be emailed within 3 business days of product shipping. So it's $120 in credit essentially to use.
Probably just like promo code. It just knocks you off that much.
Yeah, probably like a coupon. It's a coupon.
It's a coupon.
Odor Ferguson has put this question in place.
So I looked for more intro, and it takes you to the FAQs. Why is my red dot site blurry? Because you have an astigmatism.
Mike, Odor Ferguson put up this question twice. I'd like to see if we can't help him get an answer.
Yeah, give me a second here. Okay.
Sure.
So, yeah, basically it's just a coupon. So Odor wants to know, would it be more important to do the break-in properly for the less quality barrels versus the top brands?
Top brands.
It's about
Honestly,
the
it's more
same.
important for every single one.
Exactly.
It depends on what you're trying to do with it.
Yeah.
If it's a plinking gun, it doesn't matter. If it's a gun you want to shoot with any sort of accuracy, then yes, you need to do the proper break-in. The only time you wouldn't is if it's a plinking gun and you don't care about how accurate it is. That would be why you wouldn't do a proper break-in.
Like my ARs, when I break in my ARs, I'll do 5 rounds clean, 5 rounds clean.
Yep.
But like when I'm doing my precision gun, it's shoot around clean, shoot around clean. It's basically the same, but you're just not doing as many steps. So that's how I do mine, at least.
Well, the catch-all would be contact the manufacturer of the firearm and ask them. That's the safest answer we got.
Usually it'll say in the manual if you want to read it.
Yep.
But for the most part, unless you see a lot of burrs like Paul was saying, usually your shoot one clean is a rather
for 10 shots, shoot one clean for 10 shots, then shoot 5 shots clean.
Yeah.
For 25 shots, and then blah 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 blah. Okay.
Right.
I get to the point where, okay, I clean my barrel. I'm going to take and look at it, see what it looks like. And I'm going to sit down and say, either it's going to shoot it or it ain't.
And worst case scenario, if you don't like it, well, then just
It's
put some
another
80
barrel.
grit on a
Yeah.
cleaning jag and run that down the barrel. That'll help it out real quick.
Don't do that. Whatever you do, don't
I'm kidding.
do that.
That's sarcasm. Do not use sandpaper inside your bore. It's a bad idea.
Yeah.
But
there are shooters out there that are well-known bench rest shooters that use a drill and a bronze brush in their barrel.
Makes sense. Be one way to get rid of any loose stuff quick.
Yeah. Or
including that burr at the gas port, Paul.
Yeah. I mean, it's just,
So he's running with scissors. Said, I was surprised with the Howa break-in. Shoot one, swab with the patch, and wait 5 minutes for 10 shots. The reason you're waiting for 5 minutes is to make sure your barrel's ice cold. That's the whole entire point behind that.
That's what I mean. People get, the manufacturers have their, how to clean a barrel.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what they want. The other people are going to say something else. Barrel manufacturers, go look at the Krager, Brooks, Bartland sites and see what they tell you how to clean a barrel. You get 5 different, break-in procedures.
Mm-hmm.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got one that works for you, stick with it. Otherwise, yeah.
Right. Exactly. If you got one that works, stick with it. Like I say, I sit down and I'm gonna put 5 shots through it. I want to see what the gun's gonna do right off with the first 5 cold rounds. Yeah, it's gonna be clean. Don't worry about that. It's going to be clean. And I will clean it right before I shoot. I don't, but I make sure that I got a bore guide. I make sure I don't, I got coated rods. Everything fits well, and there's nothing, no aluminum in anything that I work with. The jags are all brass. The brushes and everything are nylon. And that's how I work with it. And the nylon and bronze for the brushes are, bronze wire to hold the brush together. There's a whole lot of brushes with aluminum in them. Aluminum is a no-no in a barrel.
Yep.
So I tell everybody that comes into work, the farm gun store, and buys the cheap kits, more than likely those brushes are made out of aluminum.
Yeah.
So I tell them usually if you want to keep it, fine, but get you a good Pro Shot brush, because those are going to be made out of.
Yeah, but he's sitting there. They're running a 30-inch long piece of sandpaper through it.
Mm-hmm.
You should, if you had the, even if you're not using a nylon coated one and you're using one of those Pro Shot stainless steels rods, those would be the only thing you sell.
Yeah, That's what I push for all the Pro Shot, because they're literally 25 minutes down the road, So
that are a good Dewey rod.
Yeah, Dewey rod
Well, Dewey is what I like, and I like to buy the male Dewey rods because they also can be used to knock a bullet out.
Mm-hmm.
Or something, that you run into, in shooting. Who knows? We've all fallen in with a gun out in the woods, right? Okay, well, go through and clean it out, and Dewey rods with are the only people that I know that make a male rod.
Yeah. I keep a length of brass rod when we slug a barrel. I'll drive I'll drive the lead ball through with a brass rod.
Yep.
Nice thing about brass, it's hard enough that it won't pick up a lot of stuff, and you can keep it clean.
Yep.
Mhm.
Clean is the whole thing.
Yeah. And if you get a burr on the end, you can easily file it back down to.
Right.
That's a whole episode on itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's gunsmithing, not reloading.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
Kinda.
there's lots
Even
of
like,
both.
like slugging your board. That's what I'm talking about. Slugging your board. That's a whole episode on.
Well, but he
Oh,
said not for this channel.
Well, slugging the board if you're casting.
Absolutely.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're going to want it to pit, especially like this, the Brazilian. We know that the bore's pretty shot out, so we're going to want to slug it before we buy our mold.
Yeah.
To figure out where we're going to get. So.
Yeah. True.
Good night, Odor.
Did you mention
Good night,
that?
Odor. All right, gang.
Time to close it down.
Yep. So yeah, like I was saying, range day sale going on. They got bonus bucks on a bunch of stuff. So basically, it's what a bonus buck is extra money to spend the next time you buy something. So they got some of their own optics on sale. If you're looking for AR 500 armor, they've got level 3 on sale. They've got the bigger North American Rescue trauma kits on sale right now. Ooh.
Yeah, they got their Outpack basic kit for like $15 off right now.
Yep. Yeah, and they got a couple other first aid kits on sale too. So they got a little ankle kit, a couple of bolts, other fun stuff. So yeah, make sure you swing over, check them out. primaryarms.com. If you're buying an optic, one of the Primary Arms optics, you do the coupon code FRN, you get a mount for it for free. So, other than that, gang, anybody got any shout outs?
No.
Well,
All right. Well, on that note, gang, keep your brass shiny.
Jump on the mill short bus.
Teach them to shoot and reload when they're young.
Grandpa said, don't worry about it. Violence does solve problems.
Support the Second Amendment, guys. Do what it takes. Put your money where your mouth is. I'm a benefactor member of the NRA. Yeah, okay, fine. You can bash the NRA. I have to. But I'm still a member. I'm not giving up my benefactor membership.
To be fair for Jim, he's been a benefactor member for a long time before all the crap with Wayne really started going down. So,
Thank you, Mike.
anyway, if you're struggling, 1-800-273-8255, give them a call. They've got lots of people waiting to talk to people that need some help. It is courage to reach out and ask for help. It is not courage to suffer. So,
Good night, Miss Kitty.
and on that note, good night, all.
Good night.